3:42 p.m. Local time, September 17th, 2025, in the Taiwan Strait. A Chinese-type Femtuodvoa destroyer turns hard. Not in parallel, not passive. It's coming straight for the USS Higgins, a U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyer conducting a legal freedom of navigation patrol just east of the Taiwan median line. It doesn't broadcast its intent. It doesn't need to. From the Combat Information Center, a voice cuts through. Contact altering course. CPA under 200 yards. That's nothing. 200 yards between warships at sea is already danger. Higgins tries to raise the Chinese ship over bridge-to-bridge comms. English first, then Mandarin. Nothing. The destroyer keeps coming. Its bow is locked directly on Higgins, closing at over 25 knots. That's 29 miles per hour in a 7,500-ton hull built to kill submarines, shoot down missiles, and, if ordered, ram. The Higgins SPY-6 radar tracks everything: heading, acceleration, angle, but what alarms the bridge crew isn't a radar signal. It's the silence. No warning, no radio, no margin. This isn't shadowing. This isn't coincidence. This is China testing how close it can get to the U.S. Navy before something breaks. And if the test goes wrong, it won't be a drill. It'll be international news. Because in these waters, when steel meets steel at combat distance, there's no such thing as a harmless pass. At 3:43 p.m., the radar confirms it. The Chinese destroyer isn't just approaching, it's accelerating. SPY-6 data shows a speed jump from 21 to 25.4 knots in under 30 seconds. That's not patrol speed. That's combat intercept speed. Not a drift in heading, but a deliberate vector aimed at the Higgins' starboard bow. The bridge calls it out. CPA down to 185 yards. Time to CPA, 2 minutes. Closest point of approach, if that number hits 0, it means collision. At this rate, there's no room for even one bad assumption. Bridge to bridge goes out again. Clear, firm, measured. Unidentified Chinese naval vessel, this is a United States warship conducting lawful transit. Alter course immediately. No response. They try again. This time, in Mandarin. Still nothing. Inside Higgins, it's calm but charged. Everyone knows what this means. The maneuver is deliberate. And in naval terms, silence isn't confusion, it's defiance. CIC tags the vessel. Track 052, Type 52, D. Luyang III, People's Liberation Army Navy. The Type 52D is no lightweight. With HQ-9 surface-to-air missiles, a 130mm deck gun, YJ-18 anti-ship missiles, and a full radar suite, it's considered China's workhorse destroyer, more than capable of challenging U.S. ships, especially at close quarters. But Higgins isn't backing down either. Her 5-inch gun slews slightly just enough for the other ship to see the movement. The crew doesn't load it. They don't need to. The gesture speaks louder. CIC logs every second, every heading, every change in acceleration. The USS Higgins is holding course. No evasive maneuver. Not yet, because if they flinch now, they lose the narrative. And worse, they set the precedent. This isn't just ship versus ship. This is China betting that the U.S. won't risk escalation. And Higgins, she's calling that bluff. One radar, ping at a time. At 3:44 p.m., Higgins crosses a line, not physically but procedurally. The Combat Information Center confirms the threat profile. Trajectory remains intercept. No deviation. No radio contact. This is intentional. The crew doesn't wait for permission. They follow protocol. Every U.S. Navy destroyer operates under strict rules of engagement, or ROE. These aren't just guidelines, they're legal boundaries for the use of force. Step 1. Log everything. The fire control radar snapshots the Chinese ship's heading, bearing, and approach angle every 10 seconds. Bridge logs are time-stamped, voice recordings saved, radar frames frozen. If this turns into an incident, the U.S. will need more than a statement. It will need proof. Step 2. Posture without provocation. Higgins Mark IV 5.5-inch gun rotates visibly toward the oncoming vessel, slow, deliberate, the kind of movement unmistakable, but not hostile. Step 3. Activate non-kinetic systems. The SLQ 32x7 electronic warfare suite comes online. Its role: detect and analyze radar emissions. Seconds later, it flags a narrowband surface search signal. Frequency and pulse width confirm it. The Chinese ship is scanning Higgins. Not just observing, but actively targeting. Still no hails, no bridge lights, no course correction. The Higgins watch officer says what everyone's thinking. They're watching us, but they're not talking. Inside CIC, the tension builds but discipline holds. No raised voices. No panics. Just quiet. Efficient motion. Helm control maintains heading. Engine room holds speed. Fire control plots angles but stays on standby because the next step would be escalation. And no one wants that. But the message is clear. If the Chinese destroyer makes one more aggressive move, Higgins is ready to answer. Right now, both ships are locked in a silent, high-stakes game of chicken. Except this one doesn't end with a swerve. It ends with strategy, steel, and someone blinking first. At 3:45 p.m., the next layer of pressure lifts off the deck. An MH-60R Seahawk, tail number Romeo 52, powers up on Higgins' aft flight deck. Rotor wash blasting across the stern. No weapons loaded. No overflight planned. Just presence. This isn't an attack. It's a signal. As the Seahawk climbs to 200 feet, its FLIR pod activates. Forward-looking infrared scans the Chinese ship's upper decks, the bridge, exhaust vents, radar mounts, exposed watch stations. Inside the cockpit, the sensor operator stabilizes the feed. Every heat bloom, every movement, every blinking console on the Chinese deck is recorded. Crew are now visible, helmets on. At least 2 figures near the forward gun mount, not aiming, just waiting. A second crew member inside the Seahawk trains a camera directly on the bridge. The imagery is geotagged, time-stamped, auto-uploaded. If China tries to deny this later, they'll be facing 4 Kelvin's proof. This is a standoff in high definition, one that doesn't need gunfire to be dangerous. Just the right altitude, the right angle, and the right message. At 3:46 p.m., the most dangerous thing happens. Nothing. The Chinese destroyer doesn't slow, doesn't alter course, doesn't answer calls. Its bridge windows flash sunlight. No signals, no lights, not even a wave. On deck, 2 crew stand motionless near the HPJ 38 130mm gun. They're not manning it yet, but the covers are off. Back aboard Higgins, command faces a decision. Hold position in shadow, or shift course and push through. Shadowing means staying alongside less aggressive, but it invites continued pressure. Pushing through means staying the course regardless of the threat. It signals strength, but increases risk. Inside CIC, the decision matrix lights up. Every outcome considered. Collision risk, high. Escalation, moderate. Legal justification, strong. Because right now, Higgins is in international waters, 18.4 nautical miles from the nearest claimed baseline. Every move is lawful. And yet, the Chinese ship keeps coming. The Seahawk holds overhead, circling slowly. Its infrared sensors catch small movements, engine room, crew bracing, starboard rail watchers, shifting stance aboard Higgins. Silence stretches. No alarms, no sirens, just the steady hum of electronics and tension mounting with every glance. Then CIC calls again. Contact, steady bearing. CPA under Saturday Liverpool yards. 1 minute to intersect. There's no turning back. Higgins either holds her ground or sets a precedent the U.S. Navy will regret. This is no longer a close pass. This is a chess match at 30 knots. And right now, everyone waits for the next move. At 3:47 p.m., the Chinese destroyer blinks. Its bow shifts slightly, less than 5 degrees starboard, but enough to avoid a direct intercept, enough to register on radar, enough to prove they've run the math. From 26 knots, speed drops to 23, then 21, and holds. The message is clear. They want this close, not catastrophic. Seconds later, the bridge speakers crackle. A flat Mandarin voice, U.S. Navy vessel, you are approaching a Chinese-administered maritime zone? Alter your course immediately. The accent is formal. No emotion, no threat. Just the message Beijing wants on tape. Higgins responds immediately. Calm, clipped, broadcast for the record. This is a United States warship conducting lawful passage in international waters. Unsafe maneuvers are being documented and reported. Translation: we're not leaving, and your paperwork won't move us. The Seahawk still overhead captures every word, every angle, every radar pulse. On the Chinese ship, deck crew step back from the main gun. One sailor waves toward Higgins, arms wide, palms forward, a maritime gesture meaning, we're done here. But they're not retreating, just repositioning, slowing the tempo, stretching the tension. Both ships remain on radar, both at full readiness. But the imminent danger is fading. This isn't surrender. This is performance. A carefully staged act for domestic audiences, foreign observers, and satellites watching from above. Higgins holds course still armed, still recording, still waiting. Because here, one maneuver isn't the end. It's just the opening move. What happened in the Taiwan Strait wasn't just a close pass. It was the latest step in a long, calculated campaign. For months, China has been testing boundaries, both literal and diplomatic, shadowing U.S. patrols, harassing Japanese destroyers, forcing Australian aircraft into evasive maneuvers in the South and East China Seas. And now here, the pattern is clear. Push close. Press hard. Make it look legal. The intent is simple. Wear down the West's response. Normalize aggressive moves so that when the real crisis comes, nobody knows where the red line is. This isn't guesswork, it's doctrine. China's naval strategy increasingly leans on gray zone tactics. Military actions just below the threshold of war, designed to confuse, delay, and control escalation. No shots fired, just pressure, and it's getting bolder. In August 2025, the British destroyer HMS Richmond, sailing near the Spratly Islands, was cut off by a Chinese frigate in nearly identical fashion. Cameras on board caught it all. A month earlier, a Japanese P-1 patrol aircraft was forced to divert after a Chinese J-11 fighter buzzed it over international waters near the Senkakus. Tokyo filed a formal protest. Beijing ignored it. The U.S. Navy recognizes the pattern. That's why every ship like Higgins sails with advanced sensors, legal teams ready, and helicopters outfitted with 4 Kelvin's optics and electronic sniffers. Because this isn't just about defending sea lanes, it's about defending the narrative. If the U.S. can prove it stayed within international law, it wins the diplomatic fight. If China provokes a misstep on camera, they get their soundbite. So no, what happened in the Taiwan Strait wasn't an accident. It was a calibrated pressure play. And this time, both sides walked away. But here's the question for you. Should the U.S. start pushing back harder during these encounters, or is staying calm the smarter long game? Let us know in the comments. We read them all. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of real-world naval pressure tactics, hit like and subscribe to stay updated. And remember, if you're going to play chicken with a U.S. Navy destroyer, you'd better bring more than silence and bravado. See you in the next one.